Support for this show and all the others on the Marketing Podcast Network is provided by Magento. Yes, you can use AI to make your job as a marketer easier. Let me introduce you to Magento, the newest marketing partner of the Marketing Podcast Network. Magento is built to put the power of AI in your hands. It writes social media captions, it does your transcript, it does so much stuff, and it even finds moments, hence Magento, in your show that you can repurpose as audiograms and other great little videos and audio clips. Have it watch or listen to a podcast and suggest, then make automatically social media posts to promote the show. Heck, it can even listen to the podcast episode and write a poem if you want to use that in your company blog. It's AI after all. So go check it out. MPN listeners can try it free at bit.ly/Momento MPN. It's bit.ly, bit.ly/Momento MPN. Entrepreneurs Enigma is a podcast for the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. It's got the wins and the fails that we all face being entrepreneurs, how we learn from adversity. Every week I talk to a different entrepreneur with a story to tell. I'm Seth Goldstein. Come with me on the journey. This is Entrepreneurs Enigma. Let's get started. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Entrepreneurs Enigma podcast. I'm, as always, Seth. Today, I'm with a good buddy of mine, Adam Butt. He is from Liverpool, but he lives in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. And I've known Adam, I think, almost a decade. No, a decade. I think I met him in 2012. He came over in 2009. He is from Liverpool. He came over and he started his business with, I think he said in his bio, $500 in his pocket. Now he's a multi-million-dollar company. He runs Notice, and it is an e-commerce company, a Shopify partner, and we're going to bring him on. How's it going, buddy?
I'm good, Seth. It's good to see you again. Appreciate you having me on.
Can you believe we've known each other probably since 2012? Back when you were like Advanced Web something not as creative as Noticed.
It was actually a really awesome name, but I ended up changing it. It was called Super Web Development.
Yeah, it was super. I remember it was kind of like, we're super. I was like, oh. You
Very
changed,
cliche.
thank God.
Yeah, I changed it.
Thank God. So, and then you got Noticed. No pun completely intended. So there you go. So how you doing today, buddy?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Life's good. Sun's out in Philly, so it's...
Oh, thank God it's out in Philly. I mean, it's been so rainy. I mean, April went into May, March, April, May was crazy. So it's sunny, it's warm. I'm actually able to wear shorts now. It's fantastic. But this is not the weather podcast. This is talking about Adam and his entrepreneurial journey. So you grew up in Liverpool, lower income area of Liverpool, as you say in your bio. So you're kind of scrappy. You're an amateur boxer, which I think is pretty cool. That's kind of, we have our very own Rocky here, which is kind of neat. Came over here in 2009 and started the American dream pretty much.
Yeah. It's been a real journey, to be honest, Seth. Top level. I'm originally from Liverpool, England. A son of a Pakistani father, British mom. I'm the oldest of four. I would say I'm the wisest, but I think my siblings would say a bit differently.
Them fighting words.
Yeah. And we grew up, in a lower income neighborhood pretty much most of our lives. My dad was an entrepreneur. He actually started his business in 1997. And unfortunately, one of his partners ended up taking advantage of him. He lost the whole company.
That happens a little too much. Yeah.
Yeah. So we ended up going through that. For the next probably several years, we ended up struggling. So grew up in a really rough neighborhood in Liverpool, place called Bootle. It's probably one of the roughest neighborhoods in Liverpool.
Wow. Yeah.
And, it's a neighborhood where you kind of had to really push through and get out of. So I ended up boxing when I was 16, started fighting when I was 16. I had to be fighting a lot in school because I was getting picked on, because of multiple reasons. And my two brothers are also boxers. So
runs in the family. So entrepreneurship runs in the family, says boxing. So watch out for those butts.
So yeah, it's been an interesting one, and I ended up moving here in 2009. And my actual goal when I moved here was to box. I was living in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
And my goal was to come here and box, and ended up getting married 9 months of moving here.
Oh,
And
wow. There you go. Is your wife American?
yeah, she's American. Yeah, it's
Your
actually a
kids have-
funny.
so your kids actually have an interesting accents growing up because they got the Liverpool, and we were discussing you're also half Irish. So it's like your kids are gonna have some fun accents.
Yeah, we've got an ancestry background on the Irish side from Liverpool, so it's gonna be interesting. My daughter's saying certain words. She goes to school, and like she asks for a bubble, and the teacher's always asking her what's a bubble, and we have to translate it. It's a hair tie.
Oh, it's a bottle. No, it's a hair tie.
Bubble.
A bobble. Oh, there you go.
Makes no sense.
Not even, or like a boot for the front, for the trunk.
Exactly, yeah. So
does she say boot or does she say trunk?
She says boot. She actually does say boot.
Oh, no. Her dad's rubbed off on her.
So they're getting a bit of the English-British dictionary language, if you want to call it.
That's fun. I mean, that's great.
So
you met your wife over here. You said that was a fun story. You want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I'll keep. Well, the fun fact is I actually married my wife within 2 months of knowing her. I met her on October 4th. And
you knew she may be crazy, but you knew you found a winner. So
yeah, 15 years later, it's been the biggest blessing in my life. But it actually is a true Rocky story. You'll laugh at this. I'll be really short. I was living in Charlotte, North Carolina. You know Rocky 4 with the Russian Drago?
Yeah.
He has the Versa Climber. I bought one of those machines when I first moved here in 2009. And
why not?
Didn't end up using it. Was purely acting the Rocky scene out. And then ended up selling on eBay. The guy who bought it was from Delaware. So I decided to go into like a US road trip in my Ford Explorer. Drove 12 hours. It took me 12 hours. Should have took me 9. I realized I was driving too slow and not according to American speed.
Yeah.
So got there, and then that night I ended up meeting my wife at a restaurant, and then 8 weeks later we were married.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I did drop off the Versa Climber. The guy was a happy customer. That's just something I want you to know.
Yes.
So that was
first e-commerce journey. Your first e-commerce journey. Everything ties together.
It came full circle.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was actually a true Rocky story. Went to Philly, did the whole Rocky thing that night. Checked
ran up the steps.
Ran up the steps.
Of course.
So lived it through, and then basically fast forward to 2012. I was like really trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And was working as a personal trainer because I was really into fitness. And then I got a job at an ad tech company called Thomas Net. They are a B2B search engine. And was doing sales there, selling like AdWords, SEO, brochure websites. Yeah. And at the time, Elance was like the main website.
Yeah.
And jumped on that and started getting projects. And, literally a few months later, we did like 90,000 in sales from our apartments.
Not bad. Super web design. Not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Very super.
Yeah. And, basically that year, it was a huge learning curve. I ended up going from that first year of business, open up an offshore team in Pakistan. Went into debt.
Your father. Yeah.
Yeah. That was 2012. And then the end of 2012, I was like 40,000 in debt, sold my car, maxed out my credit cards, borrowed money from my mom, and was purely ready to quit. I was just like, what? I jumped too early and tried a different approach. And at the time I was like, okay, let me give it a different try. So I started outsourcing the work at the time to third-party contractors overseas.
Yeah.
Finally had the first profitable project, did really well. And, that's kind of where it all started, and just ended up freelancing for the next 3 years, building informational sites mostly. And then I moved into e-com around 2014.
Oh yeah. It's kind of when it's all kind of started. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like really, it started back in 2000 with, .com bubble burst and all that stuff. But it really came back around the middle of the teens. And that's, you jumped right. So.
Yeah, I got in at a good time, and At the time, I was dealing with Magento. So Magento was like really the main platform back then. And really where my aha moment, where like my passion came for ecom was I got a lead from guru.com, guru.com. Remember it?
Yeah, I
got a
remember
lead. She sold high-end Western women's apparel. So ponchos, cowgirl boots, cowgirl hats.
Yeah.
Average product was about $300 to $500. Really expensive stuff.
Yeah, high end. Yeah.
Crazy fact: one of their best customers used to spend $40,000 a year on this store on clothes. 40,000, and you were in LA.
For those in audio, my mouth just dropped open. We're going to take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and get right back to the show. Support for this show and all the other shows on the Marketing Podcast Network is provided by Magento. If you have your own podcast, you know how hard it is to produce and get all the cool little clips out and all that stuff. Promoting is half the battle. What if you could upload your episode, video or audio, and have AI pull out all the best moments for you to use in social media? Well, you can with Magento. Upload the video or audio, review the recommended clips, click the couple of buttons, customize the colors, fonts, and hit save. Instantly, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, Facebook, and LinkedIn posts all materialize before your eyes. All with video and audio embedded for dynamic promotions that drive people to the episode. And the AI kicks out show notes even, transcripts, and even social media captions. All you have to do is review and post them. Because you listen to this show, you get a free trial of Magento to test for yourself. Go to bit.ly/Magento MPN and sign up today. It's bit.ly, bit.ly/Magento MPN.
Yeah, I can't remember the person's name, but it was every year they spend minimum 40,000 on the site.
So it had to work.
Yeah. And basically, client reached out to me and said, hey, I need help with the site. And after a few months, I started doing some keyword research and started seeing that they were really in a really niche, unsaturated market. A lot of the players in the space were really not with times, not doing ecom right. It was old brochure websites with like a PayPal button.
Oh, like I remember those. Yeah, I did that. I admit it. I did those. Go to PayPal, jerry-rig it all together. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was what kind of we were up against. And I convinced, them at the time to really do a rebrand, re-platform to Magento and really launch their marketing. And they were doing about 450 grand in revenue at the time. They've been in business for like 10 years, mostly on eBay, some on the site. And then within 12 months, went from 450 grand to 1.8 million.
Oh, that's all.
Yeah.
Good job, Adam. That's awesome.
So that's kind of where the buzz came. And I was like, you know what? I want to do more of this. Like, this is fun. I don't want to build static informational websites. I want to do something that I can really see the ROI behind.
Yeah.
And started, continue doing Magento for the next 2 years. And then around 2016, because I was seeing the problems with Magento and the issues with the platform, I started to explore other platforms and then came across Shopify Plus, completely just clicked for me. And I was like, you know what? I think this is going to be the next revolutionary ecom platform.
And you jumped right. Yeah.
Jumped right in, and we ended up becoming one of the first, I think it was 10 plus partners in the world at the time.
Oh, wow.
And then, Notice was launched late 2015. And fast forward to today, we're about 45 plus people, full-time, US, Canada, and UK. Got a few people in Ukraine. And top level, we basically work with direct-to-consumer e-commerce brands. And we're basically an e-commerce and marketing agency. We do re-platforms, redesigns, ongoing maintenance, marketing services. Mainly work with brands that are doing 5 to 100 million GMV. We work in the beauty, cosmetic, health, wellness, food, bev. That's kind of our sweet spot. That's where we are today.
So you've done the boxing, you've done the super web development side of things, where it's kind of like you tried it. It was like, all right, oops, we made some mistakes here. What's the best thing now looking back? What's the best thing about being an entrepreneur in your mind?
I think it's just embracing the journey. Like for me, I didn't really enjoy the journey as much in the middle of it. I think the beginning, you've got those butterflies.
Yeah.
And it's new, it's fresh, it's exciting. But then when you get into the middle, you get to really see the challenges of the business and where you're at as a person.
Yeah.
And I think when I was about 5 years into it, I really wanted to push the business forward. I knew I was capable of it, but it was really going into the unknown because, like, personally, I kept questioning, I haven't got a Harvard degree like some of these CEOs I'm competing with, and I haven't got these accolades that some of these people. So that was a really big thing for me to overcome mentally. I went through a few mental things there to overcome.
Yeah.
And when I started to realize that, it all really comes down to how much you want to push through. I think that middle part, if you can get past that middle part, really getting the right people and understanding where your focus should be.
Yeah.
That for me is really what I've learned through the process. Yeah.
That's wild. So what's the scare? I mean, clearly, I know you had some scary moments. So what's the scariest? What keeps you up at night about being an entrepreneur? Especially, how about now? What keeps you up at night now?
To be honest with you, it's going to sound really, I think I would say bad or good. It's good, I would say. I'm actually not scared now.
That's awesome.
I feel like we've got a really good vibe at the moment at the company.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of business owners are trying to figure out the Rubik's Cube of business.
Yes.
Of where you should be focusing, like I mentioned, what people do you need to get the company where you need to be? What is your role as a CEO? I think for me, a lot of people, when they start businesses, and I think people don't really overcome that mindset, is that it's all about you. It's not really all about you. It's about the team. And I think people really forget that. And I think people who don't grow don't realize that that's what it's about. You started it. Yeah. Round of applause. Yeah. Awesome job. But you're not going to get the company to the next level unless you get the team behind you. And I think that's been a big maturity stage for me to go through as an owner, just being vulnerable. I think you know that about me, Seth. I'm super vulnerable. I just go there, talk the shit.
You do. And I mean, that's kind of, you're humble, which is what I like about you. I mean, because boxers are not always humble. I mean, Mike Tyson's not a humble man, but you are a humble man. I mean, you came from humble beginnings and you made something of yourself. I mean, it is the American dream. You came to America, met the love of your life. You struggled a little bit. I mean, like, this could be a made-for-TV movie. I'm not going to say made for movie theaters, but maybe for Lifetime.
We can do a collaboration.
Hey, maybe we can do a little collaboration. The Adam Butt story. I love it. I love it. So, what is the most important thing that you carry with you all the time?
So the big thing I carry now, and this is, I would highly recommend this to anyone, is the Dale Carnegie course. I just recently did the Dale Carnegie leadership course in KOP,
that's great,
which is the King of Pressure. That course for me, Seth, was like life-changing. Like, it was one of the best courses I've ever done. It really made me understand, like, the human side of people. Like, I think people say that they understand emotional intelligence and they talk about it, but like, Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends, Influence People. Like, if you really read it, if you truly read it, it works. Like, it really does. And they actually gave us a book. It's called The Golden Book. Ooh. And there's principles that we follow. I actually keep it in my pocket every day to remind me of the principles. And I think once you start to get them, the way you approach your conversations with anyone, family, friend, team member, like, everything changes for you. You look at the world in a completely different place. And I think the one thing that I think this is a lot of people go through when it comes to, like, taking that leap, is we've got so much control inside of ourselves that we want to control everything. Yeah. There's anxiety there for some of us, but like, once you let go of that and you kind of just are okay with understanding that you're not going to grow if you don't jump, and you're not going to grow if you don't let go. You're not going to grow if you don't give people the opportunity to think for themselves. Yeah. You know, that's kind of what Dale Carnegie teaches, is to let go.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's hard. It sounds easy, but it's not.
It's incredibly hard. I mean, but the thing is, it's so simple, it's hard. Because a lot of people overthink it and go way too deep on it. And it's really a simple concept, and it's, I'm glad. I've been thinking about taking the course myself, and I haven't yet because I haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. But I'm glad that you found a course, a methodology that works for you. That's fantastic.
Yeah. It's one thing I would call out as well, Seth, is I recently listened to a podcast of Richard Branson.
Oh yeah, brilliant.
Big Rich, right?
Yeah.
what was fascinating to me was he talked about how he didn't even know what net profit was or gross margin was in his business.
Oh, that's
He
amazing.
had no clue. And like that for me really brought it in perspective of like a lot of people when they're starting a business or they're growing it, they're so worried about like, I need to know all these things.
Yeah.
And it made me realize, was listening to him, like our goal as visionaries is to come up with crazy ideas, see if the team want to rally behind us, see if they're excited as much as we are, and try and push that forward as a team. It's not to be the best at finance. It's not to be the best at HR. You can understand it when you start out because you need to. You haven't got a lot of money. But once you start to grow, and I think that's where I'm at today, Seth, is I'm having to really get focused on what my role is. And my role is to be driving the culture, coming up with new ideas, doing thought leadership, getting my name out there and really getting the brand out there. That should be my focus. And I think as you scale, you kind of lose who you are because you're trying to figure out where you fit in that business.
Yeah, I know. You kind of scale yourself out and you got to make sure you don't scale yourself out.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's where the continuous learning comes in, right?
Oh, yeah. You have to constantly reinvest in yourself, especially when you're at the top and you're top of 45, person company, multi-million-dollar company. It's a lot. And, you can lose yourself.
Yep. Yeah.
The idea is not to. So where can people find you online? Where is all this good thought leadership happening?
So it's going to be kicking off the next 2 weeks. We've got a whole LinkedIn demand generation campaign kicking off.
Great.
So I'm on LinkedIn.
Yes.
My name's Adam. You can't forget the last name, Butt, B-U-T-T. If you just type that in, you'll find me. I'm also at Instagram. You'll probably see me posting videos with my boxing.
There you go.
I like to put educational videos out there as well.
Put these links in the show notes.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's great. And, it's great to see you're embracing it. You're getting out there. You're reinvesting in yourself. So this is fantastic, Adam. And, I can say I knew you when, I knew you back in the super web development days.
I still remember our meeting actually at the Panera Bread. Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Yeah. It's amazing how much things change, right, in a short piece of time.
Yeah, things, seriously, it's been 10 years.
Yeah.
As of last year, it's been 11 years because we're in 2022 anymore. Because I think I met right when you were starting super web development. You actually, I think, reached out to me saying, "Hey, you want to talk about partering together on projects?" And I was like, "Sure." I had been in the business since 2008, so I think I finally got my head out of my ass by that point. Because that's one of the things about being on when you start your business. It's like, it's the whole romantic side of being an entrepreneur. It's not romantic. It is not one bit romantic. It's like everyone who's an overnight success. It's been 10 years in the making. Adam's a good example. He's a success now. It was not overnight.
And it's to that point, Seth. I think when you start it, you're all ego, right? You think you know it all. I know I was like that, and it took time for me to realize, like, if you get rid of the ego, like this whole world opens up to you. And I think
it does.
It takes time, maturity. As you progress. I'm 35 now, so I was 25 when I started it. So I was practically a kid in the entrepreneur world.
Yeah.
Average entrepreneur these days is starting a business at 45. So
seriously, I'm 42 tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm turning 42. The special, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy number. So I'm gonna have fun with that for a year. I'm totally gonna live that up. This is not coming out until June 15th, but so I'll be very well into the 42s. But I'm gonna have fun with that. I'm gonna have fun with 42, the meaning of life. And if you've not read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, read that book. It's a great fiction book. Douglas Adams, may rest in peace, was a incredible author. And
happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure how I feel about it though. Still 42, kind of scary. So anyhow, on that note, we will see everyone next week. Actually, we'll start over. We'll see everyone next time. That was a great show. If you're enjoying Entrepreneur's Enigma, please review us in the podcast directory of your choice. Every review helps other podcast listeners find our show. If you're looking for other podcasts in the marketing space, look no further than the Marketing Podcast Network at marketingpodcasts.net. Goldstein Media hopes you have enjoyed this episode. This podcast is one of the many great shows on the MPN Marketing Podcast Network.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Tanya Daka hosts a great podcast called The Copy Arena. Tanya, tell us what these fine folks will get out of listening.
What they're going to get is down-to-earth copy advice that helps them get their readers to open and take action.
Amazing. Where can people subscribe?
They can subscribe at tanyadaka.com and anywhere you find your favorite podcasts.
Or on marketingpodcasts.net.
This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.